Hey everyone, welcome to the first ever edition of Dynasty Trade Calculator podcast video, right? Izzy, this is like a video, correct?
This would be it's not necessarily the first ever video because we've done one or two before, but this is the first ever podcast video, right?
That's true. That's right. We covered was it the 2016 NFL draft in Chicago?
We did.
It was
Yep,
16.
and then I did one with Nick Whalen, but it was more recapping our Bustapalooza draft down in Chicago.
That's true. So this is kind of impromptu. What inspired this is I was discussing a trade with Izzy. I oftentimes will bump trades off of him just to kind of get a second opinion. And I have Daniel Jones in a Superflex league where I'm rebuilding, and I'm getting some trade offers, and I'm trying to navigate the waters exactly what should you be doing with Daniel Jones. And that's kind of what we're going to be covering on this little impromptu podcast. What are you supposed to be doing with this guy? So like I said, this is a very team situation specific, but I want to cover some more agnostic situations for people also. I'm rebuilding and I'm getting offers. One of the ones that was kind of compelling was Allen Robinson and Gardner Minshew. I'm Nick Foles' owner, so that kind of makes sense for Nick Foles. And Terry McLaurin's kind of an intriguing asset. This league depreciates wide receivers since it's running back point per carry. It's got a few different settings: super flex, tight end premium. So wide receivers are pretty degraded in this league. But I was kind of torn in this because Daniel Jones' current value says I should accept this trade right away, right?
Yeah, I mean, and you mentioned A-Rob. Is A-Rob in the picture, or is it just Terry McLaurin?
It was. We've discussed both McLaurin and A-Rob as parts of this, so it could be either or. I feel like A-Rob is probably worth more than McLaurin currently, but I could see that changing.
I think they're pretty close. I think if you're looking for more trade partners, you're going to want Terry McLaurin. I feel like with A-Rob, people are either hot or cold on him. With McLaurin, I feel like you have just more market for him.
Yep, I agree. So what exactly am I supposed to do with Daniel Jones? You had a great line inside of our Voxer chat. You said it doesn't really pay, even though you're getting great value right now, it doesn't pay to move him right now because he's one of those guys that could ascend pretty quickly, depending on how he performs in the next couple of weeks. But he's got such a high ceiling, and both of the guys I'd be getting a trade don't have quite as high of a ceiling, right?
Right. I mean, I look at it like his career standard deviation from value perspective is pretty wide. He's a high first-round pick, so he has that as his pedigree. That's going to help insulate some of his value. But I could see him as low as, let's say he struggles for the next few weeks. I still think his value sticks around the Andy Dalton territory. So your floor is getting like an Andy Dalton type return in terms of trade, but your ceiling is Carson Wentz value, and maybe even a little higher. So when I look at Daniel Jones, I think right now there's a lot of trepidation with him. A lot of people are offering, you got your Gardner Minshew and Terry McLaurin, like you had talked about, and I want to highlight this and stress it, since it's a 14-team, 2 wide receiver mandatory start. So to one is super flex, so you can start 2 quarterbacks, 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, and a tight end, and it's tight end premium, and it's running back points per carry. So if we look at it from a value perspective, the quarterbacks are 1 because it's 14-team, super flex. I would say running backs are 2 because you get the points per carry, the quarter point per carry. Tight ends are 3 because you get the tight end premium, and wide receiver are 2 because you only get the PPR, and it's only start 2. And as we know, the wide receiver landscape, there are 40 to 50 wide receivers that you can plug in on a weekly basis and get production. Now you won't get consistent production out of the bottom third of that 50, but you're still going to get a lot of upside weeks. So when I look at Terry McLaurin in a deal like this, I don't see the same upside as I see with Daniel Jones. So if you polled Twitter, I think the Minshew or a normal Dynasty owner, Minshew and Terry McLaurin would fetch more than Daniel Jones. I think a lot of people would select that side comfortably. The way I look at this, and this is kind of what I told you, is I wouldn't sell Daniel Jones right now at all. If I own Daniel Jones, I'm holding him because I know he's a lot farther away from reaching, the top 5 quarterback value than he is away from, the 15 range. It's kind of where he is right now. I think if he struggles, he doesn't actually lose as much value as people think. He's already had the big game. His value is now insulated for a few weeks. You can see how it goes this week before moving him. So if I'm a Daniel Jones owner, I'm waiting for value gain, and I'm not as afraid of some value loss.
Yep, that makes sense. And my only I think my approach was, since I'm rebuilding, I do have limitless time as far as the season's concerned. But my only concern is that with Saquon out, Daniel Jones kind of loses one of his main weapons, one of his biggest threats. Maybe like 6, 7 weeks, 8 weeks, maybe, and this could be difficult for him in the immediate future. He'll bounce back, I think, once Saquon returns. But the window for people who want to sell Daniel Jones is like this week. It's right now. Otherwise, I think they're going to have to wait at least 6 or 7 more weeks before they can consider selling him again. But like you're saying, you're in it for the long term with this guy, right?
Well, yeah, and another aspect of it, you're taking on 2 players that aren't guaranteed.
Yeah.
So McLaurin's had a hot start, but we've seen rookies start hot and fizzle off. He's obviously scoring touchdowns, which is nice. He's showing that he could be the wide receiver 1 there for a long time, and it's great. I think Terry McLaurin is safer of the 2. You're also getting Gardner Minshew, which is great, but he's not guaranteed. He's a late round rookie pick. If he struggles, he's going to lose his job again to Foles, and he's not going to have the same value insulation that a guy like Daniel Jones will have. So although you're giving up Daniel Jones, you're not getting enough guaranteed value back in return. And this is what I kind of told you. We'll look 3 years down the road at an offer like this, and I highly doubt we'll ever get to the point where we say, oh my God, I can't believe somebody, gave you, Minshew and McLaurin for Daniel Jones. But I could see 3 years down the road being like, oh my God, I can't believe he gave up Daniel Jones and only got that.
Yeah.
So I think the potential for the deal is so much greater on the Daniel Jones side than it is on the Minshew McLaurin side. Unless you feel like Gardner Minshew is a top 10 dynasty quarterback, then if he has a career arc like, I don't know, if you can put him in the Russell Wilson territory where he's going to slowly ascend into the top 10 and stay there for 6, 7 years, then yeah, the Gardner Minshew side is a no-brainer, even if Daniel Jones is great, because you get the added Terry McLaurin. But I don't think anybody's really confident in that. If Gardner Minshew was a first-round quarterback or a second-round quarterback, I would be more apt to pull the trigger than where he's currently stated right now. So I would hold off.
So to sum things up, Daniel Jones owners, especially in Superflex leagues, hang on to him for now. Kind of like just put your ear to the railroad and kind of see how things are coming down. As far as somebody who's trying to acquire Daniel Jones from one of those owners, what would you say that it would take to get him? Obviously, we're seeing in this 14-team Superflex with there's kind of some specific settings just to this league, but what about like a kind of more of a standard 12-team Superflex without a lot of different unique rules like that? What would it take to get him?
I think at worst, you're going to have to, or at best, you're going to have to pay a mid-first to acquire Daniel Jones right now in a Superflex league. I don't think any owner is giving up anything. I would even think a mid-first wouldn't get it done. Like if I offered you a mid-first, you wouldn't accept that for Daniel Jones.
Not in a 12-team Superflex, and I'm just plugging it in the Dynasty trade calculator on the website, and it looks like Daniel Jones 19.3, and that's equal to the 107, the 2020 107, which is
right
19.0. So, and that's even value. It would take more than even value for somebody to want to sell him, I feel like. So, yeah, you're right. Maybe like a 105, 104.
Yeah, so if I'm selling him, I would want to be assured that I'm getting a top 2 or 3 pick next year.
Okay.
And if I'm buying him, I don't know if I'm comfortable paying the mid-first. Maybe I roll the dice a week or two. Like this kind of goes, like I said, the deviation of where his value can go is so vast right now that it makes it tough to say I'm going to pay, a high first or even a mid first. I think right now is about right, and what he's valued right around the mid first. I think that is the appropriate line. Would I give that up? Yeah, I mean, maybe. I might give it up. It is tough. It is tough to give up, a mid first, which is guaranteed value, for Daniel Jones, which is not guaranteed value. So if you bomb on Daniel Jones and you put a lot of stock in one game, then you're kind of left holding Andy Dalton, which you wouldn't give up a mid-round, mid-first pick for. So this is a very delicate situation. I'm one of these guys. I'm a dynasty owner that says you either have those guys or you don't, and you just try to go and find the next one.
Yeah.
Like I don't think I've ever in my entire dynasty life ever purchased a top 20 player.
Yeah.
My view is I'm going to try to find the next top 20 dynasty player. And with Daniel Jones, could he be the next, top 36 Superflex ADP guy, potentially. I'm not comfortable buying the Ascension. I would have much rather tried to trade for him last week when he didn't have that than trading for him now. So I would say the 106 mid-first is probably the appropriate pay that you'd have to, give up for Daniel Jones. I just don't know if I'm comfortable doing that.
There you go. And I think there could be a better window to purchase him. So like right now is at this moment after the first game that he's played against the Buccaneers. In the next few weeks, he doesn't have Saquon. And for the next few weeks, he doesn't play against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, right? He's not playing them every week, I don't think.
This week should be another good game for him.
Yeah, that's true. He's got a couple good ones, but just without Saquon. So what I'm saying is, in the next several weeks, there could be a better buying situation than what it is currently.
Correct.
So that's what we got for Daniel Jones. If you're an owner, hang on to him. If you're not an owner, maybe not a great time to try to purchase him. The last thing that we got before we sign off of this little Dynasty Trade Calculator Quickie podcast is a little bit of a strategy thing, and it's kind of about trade vetoes, which is a very taboo topic if you're on Twitter. Anytime that somebody brings up trade vetoes, there's a lot of anger and animosity towards that word. And we have the luxury of being on the trade committee for the Dynasty Football World Championship through Full-Time Fantasy. Oftentimes we'll get emails with trades that are kind of a little bit choppy. They're not very good. And most of the times we always respond back saying we don't veto any trades, so we're voting against doing that. This is one that kind of had us thinking a little bit. So I'm going to read this trade to you, Izzy, and I already got your reaction, but I want to get it on the air here. So a trade came through, and and I got to say, this is the team that is trading away these top assets is looking to rebuild. Basically, these are his only players. He's tried to shop these guys around. He hasn't been getting too many bites, and it seems like the best of what he's gotten. So it's Todd Gurley and James Conner for, are you ready for this? Michael Gallup and Ito. So Gallup and Ito for Gurley and Conner. Not good. And I just got to say really quickly, what I responded to was, I don't like to veto trades unless absolutely necessary. And unless, even without collusion, this is one that I would consider vetoing because it could be like a league ruiner. It could be one of those ones where it just shifts too many assets on a powerful team, and it could really make a league to be difficult to be in. But what are your thoughts on this one?
It's a brutal trade. And it's not necessarily, and this is what I try to tell people, and this is the biggest mistake that people make. They feel like they need to get rid of players. And what they do is they take the offer that comes, that they send out an offer that they think, okay, well, nobody's really biting on these players, so I'm just going to go after a guy that I like. Well, put them up for auction as opposed to sending out offers. So instead of sending out a bunch of offers that for some reason this guy likes Michael Gallup and Ito Smith, whatever. That's actually not that important in this deal. You can like those guys. But don't offer the trade via like MFL. What I would do is say, hey, I'm trading Todd Gurley this week. Highest bidder gets him. Bring the owners to you. Try to get the most value. And same thing with James Conner. You can sell them separately. This isn't like a Tyco toy that it comes with the battery included. This is a battery not included deal where you can have them both separate. So for me, I've done this a lot. And I mean, I've rebuilt a couple teams. I took up a couple orphans, and I always just put players for auction. Just say, hey, I'm going to trade this guy tonight. Send me the deal, and I'll accept it, the one that I like the most. And you'll usually get 3 or 4 or 5 different offers, and sometimes you can negotiate those other offers. So the concept of I don't want these two guys and I want Gallup is great. But the mistake people make is that they devalue the players in their minds, and they don't realize that the value to other people might be higher. When I look at a trade like this, in a league like this, I also don't like vetoes. But this is a league shifter for sure. Even if Gurley and Conner continue to deteriorate, their value does. It's still a league ruiner potentially. And that in itself is a problem. What I would do if I'm commissioner and say, okay, I'm not going to veto a trade. I think that's ridiculous. And if people are up in arms, how about this? We'll give people 12 hours to give the best offer that you can give for Gurley and Conner together in a package. And whatever that other owner decides, if he still wants Gallup and Ito over some of the other deals that he gets, then that's on him. But you have to now give the opportunity for other teams to join the sweepstakes and to give this, boneheaded owner a chance to, make up for his wrongs in a sense. So you don't necessarily eliminate the deal altogether and veto it. You leave it pending somebody else coming in and offering a better deal.
Okay.
I think that's the solution.
And that's good. I think as commissioners, we have to try to find common grounds too. So it's not you're trying to make decisions to that are in the best interest of the league, and that could be a good choice to do that. Like, don't just veto Ito. How about that?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, yeah, you got it. I mean, I just don't get it. I really don't. And I actually read the gentleman had a. This is my thought process in the whole thing. You know, Gurley's going down in value, Connor's going down in value. Before I can't get anything for him, I might as well get something. And it's not like, okay, you're already putting no value on the players. Like, this is still 6, 7, 8, potentially a year away before they have no value, before they have Gallup and Ito value. So you're essentially putting that value on them before it's actually occurred. You're making this come to life, and it's not there yet.
Yeah.
So the concept makes sense. It's just 2 years premature.
Yeah, that's too bad. And as far as the calculator is concerned, I plugged it in, and it broke the page. So you can't put in this egregious of a trade in the Dynasty trade calculator; it'll start smoking.
Yeah,
so.
I like Gallup, but come on.
So that's it. We wanted to bring you some hot, quick news. Daniel Jones, what to do, whether you're owner or not. And then just a really quick Dynasty strategy, what to do as a commissioner. Do you veto trades? This is a great example of one that kind of tests your moral fibers, and we're definitely going against it, maybe finding some more creative solutions against it. So we're going to try to do this once in a while. In fact, I think we might convert our podcast into video. So we're going to create like a studio. Right now, we just got a backdrop and stuff, but we're going to create like a studio and bring you some live podcasts, not live, but video cast. So tune in again. Thank you for joining us for this one. We'll talk to you later. Bye.